Hi, everybody. I'm Julie Claycomb. I am the Assistant Grad Coordinator for the Department of Molecular Genetics and a professor in the Department of Molecular Genetics. And I'm here with my colleague, Gary Bader, who's also a professor in the Department of Molecular Genetics. I'm going to give you a little presentation about our department and our graduate program, and Gary's going to help you with answering questions while I give the presentation and with questions afterwards. Okay, so let's get started. So welcome to the MoGen community. We'll start off with a photo. This is what we call our family portrait. This is our community. We've got a great number of grad students. We've got a wonderful, lively academic community, and we think it'd be wonderful if you would join us in that community. You can reach us on Facebook and on Twitter. I've listed those resources here, and our website is at the bottom of the page. So check us out on the web. Okay, so first, who are we? So, as I said, I'm Julie Claycomb. I'm the Assistant Grad Coordinator. I'm the second person on here. I am involved in the recruitment of graduate students and career and professional mentorship when you get here. Our graduate coordinator is Peter Roy, who you can see there on the left. Peter helps you with every other aspect of your graduate career, and he's got a lot of the answers for you, and he knows all of the policies and procedures. Ileana Steinbach is our grad programs administrator. She is an amazing and wonderful resource. She has the answers to all of your graduate questions, and she will help you through the admissions process as you apply. Colleen Kelly is our student services assistant. If you're an undergrad in our MDY program, you've probably interacted with Colleen. She's wonderful, she's super helpful, and she wants to help you succeed. And we're all here to help you reach your potential as a scientist and student. Okay, so today we are going to go through a few aspects of the program. We're going to talk about grad studies in MoGen. First, we're going to touch on the Master's in Genetic Counseling program, but I'm not going to go into too much detail about that today because that's not my specialty, and in fact, it's a different program within the department. We will go into detail on the Master's and Ph.D. programs in molecular genetics, and then I'll tell you about a relatively new Ph.D. direct entry program that we've got in quantitative biology and molecular genetics. So let me tell you about why you might want to come to the Department of Molecular Genetics. Why would you want to pursue a degree in our department? Well, are you excited about discovering new things? Are you curious about how molecules, cells, and organisms fit together and do what they do? Do you enjoy logic? Do you enjoy genetics? Do you enjoy puzzles and working at the bench, doing experiments and being the first one to find out how things in this world work? Well, if you like those sorts of things, MoGen is probably a great place for your graduate career. So, as I said, I won't talk in great detail today about the Master of Science in Genetic Counseling, but I will say that there is an information session on November 20th that you can attend. Information can be found on our molecular genetics website, and here's just the flyer. This is a separate program within the department, and it accepts 4 students each year. So if you have questions about genetic counseling, please do sign up for and attend that information session that's upcoming on November 20th. So let's move on to what does it mean to be a part of our community? What would it be like if you were a graduate student in the Department of Molecular Genetics? After that, I'll focus on how you can apply, and then we'll go to your questions. So, what's it mean to be a part of our community? What would you do as a molecular genetics grad student? So, first of all, your education would be focused on research and problem solving primarily. We really want you to develop those logic skills, those scientific skills at the bench. And so most of your time will be spent doing research at the bench and publishing papers based on your data and your findings. We have over 100 now, actually, world-leading faculty for you to work with. So there's a broad range of topics that you could do your graduate study on. And in fact, we have 4 research focus areas that you can learn more about on our website. We have genetic models of development and disease. People in this research focus area use model organisms to understand fundamental questions about disease, development, and how we grow, how our cells divide, and we grow and develop. Molecular medicine and human genetics is another topic, a research focus area in our department. And people in this research focus area look into how genetics influences human disease, and we study that at the molecular level. So they're actually studying human disease models. Cellular and molecular structure and function is another focus area of the department, and professors in this research focus area are actually picking apart the molecular mechanisms of how molecules within cells interact and how cells divide and do the functions that they need to properly be part of a living organism. Molecular microbiology and infectious disease is another research focus area. Professors in this area focus on infectious diseases, bacterially caused diseases, virally initiated diseases, and even fungal diseases of humans. And they try to understand how those pathogens interface with the hosts and what can we do to combat those diseases. Computational and systems biology is another research focus area for our department. And professors in those research areas actually focus on dissecting complex biological problems using large data sets and distilling complicated sets of data into themes or models for how cells and molecules work. Functional genomics and proteomics is our final research focus area, and people in this research focus area use high-throughput sequencing and large-scale experiments to also dissect the functions and interactions of molecules within cells. So lots of great research for you to work on if you were to come to the department as a graduate student. And our faculty are amazing. They truly are. My colleagues are some of the greatest people. We have a lot of faculty who have won amazing awards. The Gairdner Awards are ongoing currently, and Dr. Janet Rassant, one of our current faculty, was awarded a Gairdner-Whiteman Award yesterday. Leah Cowan has won an NSERC Award, and there are numerous other faculty who have won lots of other amazing awards due to the great research that's going on in their labs, thanks to the graduate students who work there. So how do you choose a lab in grad school? This is a really important question that you should be considering if you're thinking about going to grad school. Your number one priority should be what research topic excites you. There are so many topics out there, and grad school can be a long-term endeavor, so you have to be sure that what you're working on is absolutely amazing and exciting to you each and every day. So choosing a research topic is a high priority. And one of the things that's a bit unique about our department is that every student who comes into the department actually does rotations through 3 different labs to try to understand to try to figure out what they like best. What type of research do they enjoy the most? So what these rotations are is sort of a test drive between you as the student and the professor running the lab. You'll do 3 of these over the course of 5 weeks, each occurring sequentially in the fall semester, starting in September. The department helps you to arrange the first rotation. You give a few choices of labs that you think might be interesting, and then the department sets you up so that you can rotate in one of those top choice labs. So you don't really have to worry about making the connection with the professor just right away to start with. After that, rotations 2 and 3, you set up on your own by talking with professors in the department, going to their lab meetings, learning about their research, and those rotations, those are set up by you interfacing with the PI in October and November. How do you interface with the PI? Well, you email them, you have a meeting with them, and don't be shy. Go and talk to them, read their papers, learn about their research, get excited about what they do. Go have a conversation about them. There's nothing professors like more than talking about their research. And so another thing that we have is our annual retreat, where the PIs will talk about their work. They'll give seminars, and the students in the labs give posters, and I'll tell you more about that in a minute. But just start to dig in, do your homework, and start to learn about what each of those PIs does in their labs and what gets you excited. So we have over 100 faculty to choose from. This is a pretty big task, but we've broken them down by those 6 research focus areas, so you can kind of start there and look on the website to kind of get a sense as to what excites you the most. And actually, what's remarkable is that rotations are a really great thing. Over 50% of our students end up joining a lab that was not initially one of their top choices. So clearly, this is working out great for our students. They might come in thinking that they want to work on one thing and do a couple of rotations and realize, oh my goodness, this topic is far more exciting to me. That's what I want to do my thesis work on. So keep an open mind. This is what rotations are good for. And ultimately, an exciting project plus the right mentor for you is the recipe for success in a great graduate experience, which is what we want you to have. We want you to be successful and reach your potential. So let's keep going on what it's like to be a MoGen grad student. Once you're here, you would do 2 topics as a master's student and 3 topics as a PhD during your coursework, which should help you enhance your research training. We've got topic courses led by our faculty. You can read about them on our website that really are driving at helping you to do your research better, enabling you to learn more about the topics that you need to know and do your research better. So you'll take 2 topic courses as a master's student, 3 topic courses as a PhD student. In addition, you'll take a first-year colloquium course, which we call MMG 1010, and you'll attend student seminars where you learn about the research of other graduate students in the department. And ultimately, you will present your research in these student seminars and be evaluated. And this helps to build strong communication skills. Verbal communication skills are really essential for scientists. We also have collaborative programs in developmental biology and genome biology and bioinformatics. So some of our professors are parts of these programs, and these are university-wide programs that bring together students in a number of departments. So this kind of extends your research network and exposes you to even more science across the University of Toronto, since there's so much great science going on here. Okay. Let me tell you about that first-year colloquium course, that MMG 1010 course, a little bit. This is a new course. We've only been doing it for a few years, but every first-year student comes in and takes this course right away. This course is aimed at building class bonds, teaching communication skills such as questions, devising good questions, reading scientific literature, attending a seminar, and devising really strong, insightful questions about science. It exposes you to a variety of research, specifically focused within those 6 areas that I described in the beginning that our department is specialized in. And it's supposed to give you a sort of overview of these different topics and help to get you excited about different things, different topics in science that might give you some clues as to where you might want to rotate next. It also allows you to talk with international scientific thought leaders. So this course actually entails a departmental seminar for our entire department. What happens is that before the seminar speaker sends papers for the first-year graduate students to read and discuss together in small groups. Then we all attend the seminar that this international scientist presents for the entire department. And after that, you have this amazing and unique opportunity to meet with that scientist and ask them questions about their research. It's a really fantastic opportunity to get to know people, to get to know scientists and thought leaders, the people that you're reading papers for, in a more personal setting. It's a really great experience. It builds class bonds, and it's a fantastic scientific opportunity. At the end of the year, we've got this great potluck dinner where everybody showcases their prowess in the kitchen. So, we've all got skills at the bench, but who has the skills in the kitchen? That's the question. And this potluck dinner is also a lot of fun, and it's a great way to end the semester. We have opportunities to TA during your graduate work in the department. However, you are not required to be a teaching assistant to maintain your stipend during your graduate career. So this, if you're interested in learning to be an effective teacher and communicator, this might be a good opportunity for you, but it is not a requirement. We have a very active Graduate Students Association. They are fantastic. Come in, become a graduate student in the department, get involved, be part of that community, immerse yourself, and be part of the fun of our graduate program. They arrange things like pub nights, trivia nights, bake sales, all kinds of fun social activities, and it's a great opportunity to get involved and be part of the community. And if you'd like to connect with them, here are some resources for you to do so. They're on Twitter, they're on Facebook, and their website is listed there. Now, I've mentioned this a couple of times. We have a yearly retreat that's held north of Toronto in Orillia. It's at a lovely rustic setting on a lake, and it's a great location to foster scientific interaction and build community. So as I kind of mentioned before, professors will give talks about their research. Students and postdoctoral fellows will come and present their research in posters so that you can go and talk to them one-on-one about the work that's going on in their labs. In later years of your PhD or master's, you will actually be the one presenting the posters. And it's just a great way to get together and foster interactions, build our community, get to know the science that's going on, and have a great time. At those retreats, we tend to have a friendly sporting competition between faculty and students, and I bet you can't guess who wins those usually. Yeah, well, it's not usually the faculty, let's just say. And those are a lot of fun. Again, team building experiences, just fantastic way to bring the community together and have some fun together. And finally, we've got some MoGen grad sports that go on each year. We've got a hockey team, we've got a softball team. If you want to get involved and play sports, blow off a little steam outside of the lab, these are great, and again, a great part of our community. Now, I want to talk about an initiative that that's been really important to me over the past couple of years, and this is graduate and professional development. This has become a top priority in our department, and we've developed a number of initiatives to help develop your transferable skills that you can use, those professional skills, writing a good letter, developing a good CV, giving a good talk, having a good interview. All of those transferable skills that are applicable to a wide variety of careers. We've developed these monthly workshops to discuss those sorts of skills, as well as to inform you about the wide variety of careers that are out there for MoGen grads. We have over 1,400 alumni doing amazing work in a wide variety of careers. So it's not necessarily just that you would come in and become a professor when it's all said and done. Sure, that's great. We'd love for you to do that. But there are a number of ways that you can use your degree all around the world. So these are just a few of the workshops that we held last year. These are student-led workshops, and we engage our alumni to provide the expertise and the panels for discussion at these workshops. They're a fantastic opportunity, and if you're a current U of T undergrad, a MoGen specialist, an immunology specialist, I would encourage you to look these up and maybe start to attend these even now as you're an undergraduate to get ideas as to what you might like to do with a PhD or a master's degree in molecular biology. We also hold a yearly symposium. This is an amazing event. It brings together over 200 alumni and current trainees, undergrads, postdocs, and graduate students to discuss careers and to really get down to the nitty-gritty of what different careers are like and what you would do to get to those careers. We engage our alumni in career mentorship on our website. You can check our profiles of alumni out on the alumni page of our website. We have a community page where alumni and current students interact in sort of a chat room forum, and we've got a quarterly newsletter that comes out that shares experiences of alumni and shares the experiences of our department with our entire MoGen community. So if you're interested in MoGen, get connected. Look these things up on our website. They're all out there for you to check out. So let's briefly touch on some careers that are available for someone who would gain a master's who would achieve a master's degree from our department. You could become a technician or a lab manager. These are very common careers. Science writing, textbook editing, performing scientific outreach. In fact, we just had a career workshop last night on scientific outreach in nonprofit organizations. You could become engaged in administrative positions such as administering grants, overseeing projects, and things like that. So many of our masters will go into careers, terminal careers like these, where they do this sort of job for the rest of their life. Others tend to go on and go to post-professional school, med school, law school, things like that. So there are lots of opportunities for those who want to get a master's from our program. For Ph.D.s, of course, everyone knows that a PhD could become a professor. They could also work in industry, in pharmaceutical, biotech, or startup companies. So these are differently sized companies that do biological research. You could become a journal editor, become engaged in science writing or textbook editing. Consulting, this means a lot of things, actually. Patent law, technology transfer, And the list goes on. There are a number of careers, and this is just a small sampling of them. So lots of great opportunities once you gain a degree from our department. So how do I learn more? You go to the website, check us out on social media, and engage with our graduate students. And here's where you can do that. Okay, so let's talk about applications. So if you want to apply, what you first need to do is go to our website. And there's a tab that is for prospective students. That's where you go. You can see at the bottom of that tab that there is information about the academic requirements. If you're an international student, what you need to do and what you need to have in place to apply, what our application procedures are, and the deadlines for applications. So I encourage you to go explore that to get all the details. I'm going to go with the brief overview for you today. And your application will be submitted electronically through SGS, through the School of Graduate Studies. I want to highlight one thing, which is that our next deadline is on November 15th. So you would apply by November 15th, and your letters would be due by December 1st. And we have a number of application deadlines throughout the year, and usually you're notified about a month after that application deadline passes about the status of your application, whether you've been accepted or not. So November 15th, January 15th, and May 1st, those would all be for entry in September. And we have a deadline in September for January entry only. Okay, so we have two streams. We have a master's stream and a direct entry PhD stream. Most of our students come in wanting to either do a master's and complete a master's, or do a master's and then reclassify into the PhD program. We also now have a growing population who want to come in as direct entry PhD applicants, and they have slightly different requirements. So if you want to enter as a master's, you should have a B+ or better in all relevant courses, and this is in your bachelor's, and this would be a biologically related bachelor's that you've done. For direct entry PhD students, you'd need an A- or higher average in all relevant courses in your master's and your bachelor's. If you have a previous master's, that is. You don't have to, but some people do when they come in for a PhD. You'll have the opportunity to enter that's a little typo at the bottom of that slide. You have the possibility to come in as a PhD direct entry and do a qualifying exam instead of a reclassification exam to transfer from master's to PhD. Instead, you do qualifying exam when you come in as a direct entry PhD. Okay, so what does my application packet contain? This is a really important question. First, you'll have a letter of intent describing why it is you want to come to our program for your graduate studies. What excites you about science? What topics are really resonate with you? Why do you want to pursue a scientific career? And more specifically, it's very important to include what is your research experience? What bench experience do you have that makes you a good candidate for being a graduate student in our program? You might also want to, in fact, you should also include information about which professors in the department you might be interested in working in and what topics those professors are working on excite you. You'll need to provide evidence of an outstanding education trajectory. So again, this is the GPA requirements that we talked about. B+ or better for master's students, A- or better for direct entry PhD. And you'll provide scanned transcripts from every post-secondary institution you've attended as a part of your application packet. We'll need to see evidence of lab experience beyond the classroom. So this means getting into the lab during the summer, during the academic year, and actually doing real research projects. So you can describe this in your letter of intent, and it's likely that you would obtain letters of reference from those professors with whom you did your research. So you'll need 2 letters of reference, and those should be from PIs who supervised your undergrad thesis or summer research, or PIs who knew you well in your courses. So we want these academic letters of reference. We're not necessarily talking about someone who was your supervisor for your summer job a few years back. We really want to know that you've had good, strong academic performance and have a good academic trajectory as a scientist. And finally, you'll provide us with your CV highlighting your academic and research experience. So tell us what research experience you had. Tell us about your academics. Tell us what makes you unique. What is it that makes you best suited for this program? So let's switch gears. Let's talk quickly about the Quantitative Biology Track PhD. This track is for people who have a background in physics, math, computer science, and can use quantitative methods to address biological questions. We've got a lot of examples of people using these sorts of approaches in the department, and in fact, Gary can talk to you about this later during the question and answer session if you'd like to, because this is one of his specialties. Our program provides a lot of infrastructure and mechanisms to ensure that students with quantitative training can use those important skills in analyzing large data sets or complex co-disciplinary biological problems successfully, okay? QBMG requirements. You'll need an A- or higher. Remember, this is a PhD direct entry program. You cannot enter this program as a master's student. You'll need to complete the online application form and indicate that you're interested in QBMG, the quantitative program. Tell us about your research experience. You'll need either wet or dry research experience. It can be biological or it can be in data analysis. We have a broad spectrum of research experience in this particular, the entry requirements for this particular program. Again, you'll need 2 academic letters of reference, and you'll need to state in your letter of intent, just like you would if you were coming in for a master's or a PhD in molecular genetics, why you were interested in the program. Why do you want to be a QBMG PhD student? And finally, you'll have a successful interview. This is slightly different than the other tracks. All right, now we'll talk about international applicants briefly. We have 2 different paths through which international applicants can apply to and join our department. Route 1 entails a student who has completed a bachelor's degree at a Canadian institution and or has worked in a MoGen lab, in a lab in our department performing research for greater than 7 weeks. So oftentimes we'll have international students perform summer research. This would be the type of experience we're talking about. In a MoGen lab, this is important. You will need to pass an English language proficiency test. The requirements for the scores on that are on our website. And you'll need to obtain a letter of sponsorship from a MoGen PI. So a professor in our department has to commit to sponsoring you and bringing you into the department. And that's because our international students are a bit more of an investment in terms of stipend and tuition than our domestic students are. So we have to make sure that every international student would certainly have a supervisor no matter what. No GRE scores are required for Route 1 applicants to our international program. Okay, Route 2. Route 2, again, you need to pass an English language proficiency test, and with this route, you do not have to secure sponsorship from a MoGen faculty member as you apply. We will help you to do that after the fact, but you will need to present GRE general scores and subject test scores. This is very important. So 2 different routes that you can come into the department. 1, you have a sponsor and you have an affiliation with a Canadian institution or our department. 2, no affiliation, but you take a GRE test and you don't need a sponsor per se. Okay, when you're accepted, what would you do? Well, this is exciting. Congratulations. We're happy to have you joining our community. If you want to find out more and decide to join our department, you'll want to go to our Grad Information Day. We have one in March and one in June, and it's a day where you meet with professors, current students. It really helps you to get a feel for what it's like to be part of our department. So keep your eyes out for that if you're accepted. You'll want to return our acceptance letter promptly. Our graduate classes are growing, and it seems as though there may be a high demand for entry into our program. Don't miss your chance. Tell us that you want to come to our department and commit to it promptly. Our ultimate deadline is July 1st, and we have that deadline because we set up our rotations shortly thereafter. Consider what labs you'll want to rotate through. Talk to PIs, start to email people in the department, talk with students. We'll help you to set up that first rotation, but it's important for you to start to think about it, especially because, as I said, we set those up starting in July. And finally, start to think about housing. If you're going to be moving to Toronto, you'll want to start looking for an apartment or applying for on-campus housing. And we can point you to resources for successfully doing that. Okay, with that, we'll go to the questions segment of this webinar, and we hope you'll join us this fall. Okay, so Gary, do we have any questions from the internet?
We've had a number of questions,
okay, great.
which I've also addressed in the chat window.
Great.
Except for one. And also, people can ask additional questions by typing them into the chat window, and we'll just get to them one after the next. But I've already answered a number of them. One of the questions that I wasn't quite sure the answer to is Kevin asks if he applies for the November deadline and gets rejected, hopefully not, can he still apply for the September or a future deadline?
Great question. So you want to provide the strongest application you possibly can. So if you think that your grades are not quite what they should be at this point in the fall semester, I would recommend that you wait until May to apply after you've gotten some stronger grades and, do the best you can in your courses over the winter term. Try to provide the strongest transcript, the strongest application possible. So apply when you're going to have that strongest package. Now, you can only apply once per year. So I believe that if you had a change in your status or took some more classes, if you were rejected in 1 year, took some more classes, tried to beef up your CV and your transcript, you could then apply in September the next year. But you can only apply once per one academic year.
I think also if people apply early and they haven't gotten all their courses, and if there's a question, then the admissions committee might ask people, okay, you're on the waiting list until we get the courses updated. So you wouldn't get rejected right away in that case.
Right. Yeah.
If that was considered to be important.
Hope that answers your question. What else have we got? What are some popular questions?
People asked if they know the rotation, the professor that they want to join or the lab that they want to join, does the rotation program apply to them? And I said yes. Everyone needs to do 3 rotations. And people have, in general, really liked the rotation program. Basically, it helps provide a range of experience and breadth of knowledge, so you actually learn during the rotation program. So it's like taking courses. Plus, it's like a really amazing practical course because you're right there doing a project in the lab, in the different labs. You also meet a lot of different people, including faculty, which is important from a networking point of view for future career as well. Just getting to know people by working with them for 5 weeks is much better than just being in a classroom with somebody. So you get more lasting relationships that way. So for a number of reasons, students tend to really like the rotation program, even if they know the lab that they kind of want to go to.
Yeah, it's been an overwhelmingly positive aspect of our program. And think about it this way. Maybe you join a lab and you start a project where you need to apply a technique that you may have learned in another rotation. You've already got that expertise. You know where to go in the department to be able to use a special piece of equipment or to collaborate with people who are experts in that technique. It's just a fantastic way to build your network, to learn more, and to become a better scientist all around.
Hafsa asks, are the last 2 years of undergrad more important in terms of marks?
Yeah, well, I think, it's all, of course, important. But if you have a strong trajectory, maybe you didn't do so great those first couple of years, but you've done exceedingly better with each successive year. That's a good indication. We would take that into consideration, yes.
And also, the admissions committee looks at the whole package. So if you haven't done well in a course if you've done really well in a course that's very related, and you haven't done well in a course that's not related at all, that will definitely be considered. And the courses that are most relevant will be weighted more highly.
Great.
So Sarah asks, if I wanted to take some time off between graduating and applying to a master's, would it make a difference in my application?
I think that's a great question, and I think you can take time off, Sarah. I think that, you wouldn't want to take too much time off, and it depends on what you're doing during that time off. You might want to go and be a technician in a lab, work for a little while, save up some money, do that sort of thing. And in that regard, you'd be also gaining useful experience. So there are a lot of things you could do during your time off that would even make you a stronger candidate for coming into the program later. It won't hurt you if you're not taking an extensive period of time off.
Yeah, so if you want to travel and other things, it's really not a problem. No. People don't. It's not part of the normal admissions thing to see when people graduated versus when they applied. Yeah. Mostly, it's really about the person and the package and what their interests are.
Absolutely.
And how passionate they are about science. Okay, Cynthia asks, what courses are you looking for on the undergraduate transcript?
on the undergrad transcript, we're looking for courses in molecular biology, biochemistry. We want to see a nice representation of chemistry, physics, math, those sorts of courses. But the focus is definitely genetics, molecular biology, lab courses. And if you can do an honors thesis in your fourth year, that's also a good thing. What do you have to add to that, Gary?
Yeah, I think that covers it.
Okay.
Yeah. For the QBMG program is the only exception. The courses are non-biology. They don't have to be biology. They're from an area like physics, statistics, or computer science.
Great.
Okay, so Ruben asks, is there a weighting assigned to the marks versus experience that an applicant has? As in if they're on the cusp to make the mark criteria, but they have quite a bit of experience in the field.
That's a good question. I think it's on a case-by-case basis is what I would say for that question.
Yeah, so the admissions committee will definitely consider that. As I mentioned, they consider the whole package, and so they'll see that and be able to make a decision.
Yeah, good.
John asks, what exactly are the things we can do to enhance his application for a year off after graduation?
Good question. So we kind of addressed this with Sarah, I think. So a year off after graduation, that was the question? Yes. So if you had the ability to go and work as a technician in a research lab and gain some additional experience, that would be fantastic. I think that's probably often what people do to gain experience and strengthen their application package. More research experience. I mean, we are focused on bench research and the logic of being a scientist and doing experiments. So things that you can do to enhance that part of your portfolio would be really, really important. Anything to add?
No.
Okay.
That's great. Hafsa is wondering if psychology is necessary for the genetic counseling program, and if so, how many courses?
That's a great question, Hafsa, and I have to admit that I'm not entirely sure if psychology is required. I would say to check into the information session on November 20th so that you get the appropriate information. If you would like to, you could send me an email and, tell me, hey, I asked this question during the webinar and you said you could help me out, and I'll point you in the right direction for whom you can address that question and get a meaningful answer.
And also on the website, is there an email contact
for the counseling genetic program? Counseling? Yeah, absolutely. So you can go to the homepage on the website, and then there are tabs. Actually, that one of the tabs is a genetic counseling tab that you can just find all of the information you need under that genetic counseling tab. You scroll down to the bottom of it, and you'll see all of the people who are part of that program and who can answer your questions. And particularly, Brittany Murphy is the administrator, sort of the Ileana Ileana Steinbach to us is Brittany Murphy to the genetic counseling program, and so she will probably be able to answer your questions.
Yeah, don't be shy to email people.
Yeah.
Okay, Ahmed asks, if I switched into more intensive biology late into my undergrad and my earlier courses, like Intro to Biochem, Intro Chemistry, and Intro Genetics, have lackluster marks, would having significantly better marks in actual MGY courses in later years compensate for that?
So again, I think that trajectory is important. If you've shown that you're taking these difficult courses, you're taking the appropriate courses, and that you're doing better and better each year, we understand. As you start your undergrad, it's kind of difficult to equilibrate sometimes, and sometimes your courses don't go as well as you'd like. But over time, we want to see that you have strong marks in those courses, and I think that if you've got that sort of trajectory, that's a good sign. What else would you add to that? Anything?
No, I think the trajectory is important.
Yeah, trajectory is important.
Okay, so there are no more questions now. I think the video is actually delayed, so by like maybe 30 or 40 seconds.
Yes.
But so they might not. I'll just ask on the chat if anyone has any more questions.
Okay. We're almost out of time, but if you've got your last couple of questions, fire them off to us and we'll answer them for you. And of course, if you have questions after the fact, feel free to email me. I'm happy to help you get answers to your questions. And if I don't know the answers, I'll point you to somebody who does. And my email is Julie, Julie, .claycomb, CLAYCOMB, @utoronto.ca.
Oops. One more question. I don't, from Ahmed, I don't have a fourth-year thesis project, but I do have experience working with a microbiology company's lab. Would the fact that that's not strictly academic setting be still okay?
Sure, that's a great question, Ahmed. Yeah, I mean, we want to see research experience. Of course, it probably depends a little bit on what you did and what kind of experience you have, but I think that's a strong indicator. If you've got industry experience, non-academic experience, that's fine too. And we can talk more about that afterwards if you'd like. Okay. With that, any final questions from the great beyond? Okay, well, thanks for tuning in, and please contact us if you have any questions. We hope to see you in MoGen next year.
Thanks,
Bye.
everybody. Bye.